Welcome back to Long Box Diving, where we explore comics and story arcs pulled from the long box. Except this time,
It's not comics.
well, it is comics. We are actually going to be we're going to call this a long box diving discussion. Jay here did a little video last week describing precogs versus predictors type thing, who would win. We're going to follow this up. We're probably going to do a series of videos along these same lines because we like the concept. One of our goals here in our mission statement of this channel is to bring old school comic shop feeling. And I remember as a kid, one of the things Superman could beat up Batman, Batman could beat up Captain America, that kind of stuff.
And so did the writers. Like you were sharing on Twitter that, hey, look, does anybody have these comics where it's Hulk versus Batman and
Superman versus Spider-Man?
Yeah, it's like this is not a new concept.
So we are not going to do this person against this person. What we'd like to discuss and talk about is this ability versus this ability. Which one would win if they were to place against each other? Now, we will probably use people as examples to define what we're talking about when we're talking about a predictor or versus something else.
Just to get that idea. Just
to get the idea of what kind of person we're talking about or ability we're talking about. To set the stage, we have two abilities. The people involved don't know each other.
These abilities, though, these are the losers brackets from the last two we've done.
These are losers, I guess. And as we get more familiar with different abilities and measuring things against each other, this will expand. We'll have so many different...
Oh, yeah.
We're going to have so many different conversations because we're geeks like that. But, so... The two abilities do not know about the other ability. They do not know, what the limits of that ability is or how to counter it intuitively.
Yeah, it's a football game. Nobody studied up on your opponents.
That's right. No film footage. They didn't watch game footage. And the second thing is they're out in the world, so it's not a specialized environment. There's not special things like we're not going to put Superman in a room full of kryptonite, and say can a guy like Superman, no, it's out in the world, they meet up, and what would happen? So the two abilities we're talking about tonight is Predictor versus Luck. Mm-hmm. All right, so we're talking about a guy like Midnighter, right? In which we know Midnighter's ability, here, to read a definition, Midnighter's most famous ability is to predict how a battle will happen before the fight even starts. His implant, he has a fight implant, so he has a combat computer actually in his brain along with the nanites, but we're not worried about the nanites.
It's not important.
He has a combat computer in his brain that allows him to run through combat situations millions of times in his mind, almost instantly covering nearly every result of everything that's going to happen before he even throws the first punch. So you see this could happen, this could happen, this could happen, this could happen, and he follows along that path. And you can see all these different branches of things that could happen in a fight. We've seen it in the comic. We've seen that ability in practice.
We've seen it in real life, if we're being honest. It's like self-driving cars. That's exactly what they do.
Self-driving cars. Exactly. So we actually kind of read about it in Sanderson's book, where one of the metals they would take would actually allow him to see combat of what they would do in the future. It was really cool. So now, according to Midnighter, the way he fights, and this is the kind of the path we're going to take, is a little bit along this line, is his power works letting him see the outcome that he wants. So all the different possible variations of something happening, he follows it down to the end because I like that ending. So he follows it backwards through the moves and goes, I need to do this to start, then do this, then do this, and do this. And honestly, this has got to be a really boring way to fight. If you could see the exact ending and then you kind of go, okay, I got to kick, punch, dodge, weave, flick, it's just kind of, it'd be like a pre-designed choreographed dance, and he would just I'm just following the movements of the dance.
It's also faulty logic, may I add. You work backwards from the solution you want.
That's what we said.
Yes, it's faulty logic.
Why?
Because you're working backwards from the solution you want.
Okay. And the second, so that's the predictor. And then we have the second thing. Second side of this would be the luck. Now we have examples of this like Shatterstar, but we're gonna go with Domino and looking at Domino's ability, the ability to subliminally and psychonically initiate random kinetic phenomena to affect the probability in her favor. All right, so she can actually just there are ranges to her. It's within her sight. They have to be improbable, not impossible. And so something like equipment failure, hitting a random shot that bounces across and then hits the switch on the wall, things of that sort. So it's not like Scarlet Witch where she can alter reality and make improbable things happen, impossible things happen. With this power set, we're talking here luck, is specifically improbable things happening that will always be in her favor. So it could happen for her or against the enemy, but it's going to be in her favor. All right, so we've set the stage. We have, which side do you want? Do you want to be the predictor side? Or do you want to be the luck side? Do you want to argue this back and forth from side to side?
I don't mind doing that as like a sort of debate.
Yes.
Do you have a preference?
I'll take luck.
Okay, because I feel like luck would win, but whatever. I will take.
Well,
prediction.
he's already blown it. I think luck will win.
I will take prediction.
All right, so we're coming into a situation. A predictor has now met up with the luck person, and it's a fight to the knockout. Mm-hmm. All right, or till one gives up. Okay, so in a luck situation, if I know I have to battle, it's in this situation. This kind of luck is not specifically. I am thinking of a specific action to do.
No, it just happens.
It's something here happened.
Something happened.
Something happened to make me have favor, right?
Conversely, whatever does happen, your predictor is automatically responding to it in such a way to where they can now predict and look at what is the most probable outcome now given the difference in scenario.
Yeah, and that's kind of where it's come down to for me. All right, mm-hmm. So let me lay out what I think and why I think luck will win. If the predictor were to come into a situation and go, okay, before the first punch even thrown, I am going to calculate all the possible outcomes of a certain thing happening. And he gets to the end result that he wants and works his way back and goes, okay, so if I shoot to the right of her, then she's going to duck, right? But because her luck ability therefore turns whatever is improbable to her favor, if shooting to her left is not in her favor, she could improbably make the bullet bounce and go to the right.
And like, again, to add on to it, it's, again, if we're talking the peak predictor, right? Mm-hmm. At that point, they're predicting every single possible outcome, and this is possible outcome, which fits with luck. So they already know the outcomes where for some reason the bullet strayed, unless it becomes impossible, which then it seems like the lucky thing is making impossible actions turn probable.
So we can't go impossible,
but
we can't do impossible. But if he is then okay, I've chosen this path.
Yeah.
He has then reset the probabilities of things being the best for the luck person. If this was the best for him, it's now not the best for her, and therefore something else is going to happen to counter that. And what I think could come down mm-hmm. is that every step that he makes to start the fight, she then has luck that does something opposite or different than what he predicted, because it would then be in her favor not to do the thing he predicted.
Yeah.
It would then cause him to then reevaluate mm-hmm. all actions that he was going to take, which then would make him choose another outcome, and then her luck would kick in and do another probability.
And that's the thing. It comes down to, I really think, did the predictor actually predict every possible outcome? And if they did, they already had that wall of knowledge. Oh, if let's say this random freak event happened, they already know the further paths down from that.
Yes, but he still chose. And the minute he chose one, it changed the probabilities of all the other things. Mm-hmm. And it goes back to uncertainty principle. Once you measure something, you've changed it. So by predicting it and choosing, he's now reset all probabilities, because all probabilities have now been reset.
Yeah.
And so I think I have two possible outcomes in this situation. One, his computer malfunctions and goes in an infinite loop, because every time he changes a thing, luck counters it, and he has to reevaluate.
Not that we're actually talking about specific people. Just...
Not specific people. I'm talking a predictor. I call her a her or it. Once it changes and predicts an outcome, luck counters it. Prediction has to restart. If it's a combat computer type situation or some mental thing, you could cause it to go into an infinite type loop where it's constantly having to reevaluate and therefore stall out. That would let luck win. Second, if he's able to keep up, or the predictor is able to keep up with that probability changing, could luck get to a point where things have now become impossible? I think that's less likely. I think the best bet for the predictor to fight a luck person is to not predict.
Interesting. Oh, that is actually really interesting. By not committing to any action, anything is possible, leaving you the reflexes to react to anything instead of actually predicting.
Right. Which then would mean luck would win. Because luck beats prediction at that point. If you can't use prediction in the fight, prediction is just bowed out. Because now he has to rely, if it's a person, on other ability that is not in this fight. Predictor against luck. So that's my logic. What about you?
I mean, if you break it down to and I'm gonna argue something that's not predictor, right? If you break it down to what are all the possible paths out there, these are not going to change. You have so many timelines. You can't see my hands, but I'm doing a thing. You only have so many timelines, and that's not going to change. And a predictor knows all of them and is able to adjust to them. But no matter what you're able to adjust to, it's always going to be like luck is always going to end up going down the best path for them.
And that will change with each next prediction. I do have a thing. I don't know if a predictor can predict on what he sees or what he knows, how the person moves. So then he predicts based off that assumptions. Could a predictor know all the improbable things that could happen in a fight?
I think for like peak performance,
I mean, you could yes. you could look at Captain America. No, okay, I know how he fights. All right, I can predict he's going to do. In a chess match, I know you're going to use certain openings.
Well,
you're going to do certain things here. They're going to do certain things there. There's only a limited amount of things in a fight that a person is going to do.
It's exactly.
If Captain America comes in, it's not going to be a gun.
It depends on the predictor, like if we're going to get granular, but overall I think predictors are, like, if you're talking peak performance, the best.
Well, I think
when
you get to randomized shot from a gun bouncing off like a pool ball and hitting a switch, I think that gets to the level of precog.
That's probably fair.
I don't think that's a predictable event.
But again, we're talking about how predictable are they going to predict? Because if it's possible, it doesn't matter how improbable.
If they can predict every improbable event, like a roach just happens to run by, what level? I mean, I think maybe we should have set that boundary before we started. But
I guess like the other thing to think about is how fast are they predicting? Because luck can work just in the background. It doesn't need active thought, but prediction does. How fast are they able to predict and react to an opponent's movements?
Well, in the case of this example, she has subliminally, so subconsciously and psychonically, so she can do it in both ways. Mm-hmm. So she can make luck work for her, or luck just works for her.
Yeah. And while, like, Midnighter, if we're using the specific example, has to actually run through the simulation.
The scenarios in his head. But like I said, he already knows how to fight, so he starts at the end and works his way backwards. That won't work with a luck person. Because a luck person, the best probable outcome will change the minute he makes a decision. And he makes a decision, now that is no longer the best probable outcome, something else would be, and they would do that. And now he's in the wrong, he's actually predicted wrong. So he's got to repredict. So it looks like, again...
I mean, let's leave it up to the viewers, but, I mean, I have a bias.
All right, well, so again, I mean, guys, leave comments to us. We'd love to have these discussions in the conversation. Maybe one of these times we'll do a live chat, live stream on this kind of topic and do another discussion. But looks like we've come down again that a predictor is only good in certain situations, and when it comes up to others that have abilities along that same vein of probability, you're not going to win.
I mean, like, just from just for a very clear example of why I agree, is this: you take a die, right? You take a D20. A predictor is able to say, if I roll it this exact way, I am likely to get a 20. Lucky people just end up getting 20s, which will happen more often.
Yes.
So,
and again, 3 probable outcomes to me is an infinite loop.
Yeah.
So he can't ever get a prediction done, because the minute he's finishing predicting something, it's changed again.
Which I think that one eventually grinds down to a stalemate, and that gets so granular depending on whose combat abilities are stronger and etc.
I just say, if his brain locks up, I mean, can you imagine?
You're having to keep up, and you're like, if you're able to keep a prediction with luck, then it's just a stalemate at that point.
Then it goes to second. How much luck can the predictor keep it going long enough that all improbable things have happened, and therefore the luck person only has impossible things to happen? In that scenario, the predictor could win.
But again, that's so.
But I think that's not a good case. I think the most likely case is for the predictor not to predict and rely on other techniques, which then means the predicting talent was not good in the fight against luck.
Yeah, they'd have to. Like, at the end of the day, they'd have to rely on other abilities.
Yes.
Or just natural luckiness.
Which Midnighter has strength, speed, and other things, which he could probably beat Domino at. So, but this is not a fight between Domino and Midnighter. This is between Predictor and Luck, and I think Predictor loses again.
I mean...
Predictor loses again.
I can't disagree.
All right, folks, I hope you enjoyed this. Please join us in the chat, or not in the chat, but in the comments, in our conversation, in our discussion, and we'll have another one later. Maybe a whole another set of powers. What do you have an idea?
Off the top of my head, I would love to see like a weather versus an elemental ability.
I was thinking, gravity versus magnetism.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I mean, we got so many different ideas. All right, so join us next time, and if you like this, please like and subscribe. We'll see you next time here in the Long Box.